Good morning and welcome to Free Advice Friday. My name is Keri Barnum for New Shelves Books, and we are here to talk about publishing, marketing, and the business of being an author. You can always join us live on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern by going to newshelves.com/FAF, or you can watch the replays over on YouTube. Just subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/New Shelves Books. We do take questions live, so we've got quite a few that were emailed in to info@newshelves.com. We're going to jump in today, and we have questions coming in live as well. So we're going to jump in and just start talking about what's going on in the news today. So one of the first questions was from Walt, and Walt was asking what I think of Hoopla and Palace Marketplace on Draft to Digital. So when we're talking about Draft to Digital, Hoopla is a platform that is used by libraries. So it's kind of similar to Overdrive or Bibliotheca, and I think it's fantastic. I actually have quite a few clients whose books are popular overseas. The libraries over there will use Hoopla, and so they get quite a bit of traction with that. So typically speaking, if you are not going to go exclusive for Kindle Unlimited, so if your ebook is not exclusive on Amazon for Kindle Unlimited, then I highly recommend that you accept all of the options for library distribution through Draft to Digital. The more places your book is available to libraries, the more likely they are to go ahead and actually buy the book and have it on their digital shelves. So I do recommend that. Very similar to Overdrive and very easy to opt in if you're using Draft to Digital. Let's see. Yeah, so Vicky is saying, when I go to YouTube, it used to have the dates for our Free Advice Fridays, but now they have episode session numbers. So there is a date. If you go to the YouTube channel, there is a date. Further down, it says when it's recorded, but we did move over to episode numbers just because it was cleaner to keep track of for some of those. So let me actually show you. Let's go take a tour of the New Shelves YouTube channel real quick. Let me pull it up for us. Then we can just take a quick tour so you know what's going on over there. All right. Let me share my screen. Here we go. All right. So you, again, can find us simply at youtube.com/New Shelves Books. Go subscribe. It makes me smile every time. So we have everything here, and then you can see here that we've got all of our videos, and yes, we have moved over to episodes. And then we do have a couple of specific like playlists. So we do have Free Advice Friday all in one spot. And when you go into the Free Advice Friday, you'll see, if you go down on the screen, we've been doing a couple of things over here lately. We have really been working to pull up chapters. So if you want to scan through here, if you're like, man, I don't necessarily have a whole hour, but I'd love to know what they were chatting about on Free Advice Friday, you can come here, you can scan through the topics, and if you're interested, you can click on any one to go straight to that point in the video, which we also do so people can refer back to it, because there have been times where that happens. And right under that, you can see this episode was originally filmed on, and we've got the date there. So hopefully that helps, Vicky, when you're trying to look at which week it was filmed, and it is available there. And if you've got any more questions, feedback, if there's anything you'd like to see on our YouTube channel, just let us know. We do try to not only do our Free Advice Friday, but we try to do tutorials up on there when available. So go subscribe, let us know how you like it and what we can improve on. That would be awesome. Do you suggest using Draft to Digital to publish to Kindle or to upload to Kindle yourselves? Is there anything specific required to enable text to speech for Kindle books? Yes. So I do recommend that if you are putting your ebook on Kindle or Amazon, I strongly recommend that you upload it directly to KDP. And the reason why is you have more control, better access over the metadata and the SEO and algorithms on Amazon, and also because you tend to make a higher royalty since you are working directly with KDP for Amazon rather than going through an aggregator. So in most cases, I would recommend that you do upload directly to KDP. So when I work with books, many times, if they're print on demand, we will upload the print and the ebook to KDP for Amazon. And then we will upload the same exact print book, the same ISBN, because hopefully you've bought your own ISBN. And we upload that to IngramSpark for Ingram Wholesale. So the book can be ordered at bookstores and libraries and all the other good stuff. And then if your book is not exclusive to Amazon, if it's not in the Kindle Unlimited program through Kindle Select, then we would take your ebook and take it over to Draft to Digital, upload it there, and put it pretty much everywhere except for Amazon, because we've already done that at KDP. So that's typically what I recommend. As far as text to speech, you do have to make sure it's enabled in your actual file. So not all files are created the same, so you do need to make sure that you do that. I wish I could speak more to the mechanics of it, but that simply is not my area of expertise. I do know that if you go onto the Kindle website, there are more detailed specs for that. So I would ask that, or ask someone who specializes in ebook formatting. I know just enough to be dangerous, but I stopped myself there because, again, it's not my skill set. So hopefully that at least points you in the right direction, though. Let's see. How does bookshop.org process work for indie bookstores? When I order a book, does the bookstore place an order through Ingram or through a distributor? Is it helpful to them, or would it be better to call and order directly at the shop? So bookshop.org, pretty much what it does is it allows the customer to order through the bookstore. It is pretty seamless. I've not heard personally from any bookstore that they would prefer a call or to order directly. Bookshop is kind of, it's like a not-for-profit. So it's not something that's necessarily taking a bunch of money for them. I don't know if it's easier for a bookstore if you go in directly or call them. I will say that bookshop.org is a really nice platform for a lot of bookstores because you can order 24/7, doesn't require someone to pick up the phone and be physically available. So while I'm sure your neighborhood bookstore would absolutely love for you to come and visit them, and if you have questions or, order directly, I don't think that it's anything that is harder for them. And they certainly do encourage bookshop.org orders. So if it's ordering on Amazon or ordering from a bookstore, they're all going to say, yeah, bookshop.org is a great way to do that. So I don't think that there's any big problem there, but you can always ask your specific bookstore. Of course, keeping in mind bookshop.org is really a site for indie bookstores, and indie bookstores are typically going to be run and managed by individuals or small companies. And so they may have their own preferences that, it's not necessarily a standard. So you can always ask. Let's see. Scott had a question. It's been a while since running Amazon ads. They've kind of lapsed. So what's the best way to remember which keywords worked best before Christmas last year so I can reuse them? I get this question a lot. I actually have several clients who have Christmas titles, and they have these books that are just perfect for Christmas, but they don't really run ads in July for their Christmas title. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we deal with this in one of two ways. You can either literally go into your Amazon ad dashboard and you can turn on an ad that you've earmarked for Christmas. So for some of these titles, I literally will set up an ad that says Christmas 2023 with the book title name. And we'll set that ad up and we'll run it and we'll refine it and we'll really make it a strong ad for that season. Then we typically turn it off, depending on if it's something that sells well in ebook, we'll keep it running through December 25th. If it is a print book that actually has to be shipped, we turn that thing off, December 23rd, because then no one's really getting it after that. But depending on the product, we have it turn off for the summer months and the spring and all of that. And what we do for some of these is we literally just turn it back on the next year. We turn it back on for at least 2 weeks. We watch to see if those ads and those keywords are still performing from last year, refine them as needed, and we just keep going forward. Now, there's another way to do this. You can also go into your ad, you can see what keywords were getting you sales, and then you can pull those for a new ad. That does take more time, a little more effort, but doing that would kind of refine your ad from the get-go and would give you separate ad data if you want to do that. So you'd actually have to go in. Now, unfortunately, when pulling a search term and keyword report on Amazon, they only allow you to go back, I think it's 60 days. So if you're looking for ad data from last December, and it's now October, you're not going to be able to access that unless you had pulled a report the year before, because your reports do stay in your dashboard. So lesson learned, if you have a ad or you have a children's book or a product that you're advertising specifically around Christmas targets, remember to run a report after the holiday season on that ad so it stays in your dashboard. So then you have all of the ad data in one spot and you can pull it that way. If you don't have that option, it's okay to turn an old ad on, let it run for a couple of weeks, gather data, and just, it's kind of starting fresh, but with a little bit more data and information. But those are the ways that I typically handle it for books. And like I said, those books that are specifically holiday focused are different because we don't run ads for those typically the rest of the year. So those are easier to kind of turn on and off. It's just kind of like, yep, just turn it on every year. We refine it. We add some new keywords, but for the most part, it's going to stay the same. If it's a product that can sell all year round, it's not specifically holiday, but you think it'd be a great gift around the holidays, so you updated your keywords, that's going to require a little bit more work. But again, hopefully these tools kind of give you some options and an idea for a starting place and some ideas for how to make your life easier next year by planning ahead now or at the end of this holiday season. Okay. Can you have your ebook up on KDP and also on IngramSpark, as long as you don't choose the Kindle Select option for Kindle Unlimited? So yes, it's kind of like the question that we answered before about how I would distribute my books with my ebook. I would personally go with doing the KDP for your ebook and then going into draft to digital. Some people will choose to do KDP and IngramSpark for their ebook, which is fine. IngramSpark does ebook distribution. It acts a lot like draft to digital. I personally don't tend to use IngramSpark for my ebooks, and there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, I think that draft to digital is a little bit more simple to use. Number two, I really like on Draft to Digital that I can schedule a promotion out for a time when that ebook price drops down and comes back up, and I can do it automatically. And I can do it very quickly. For ebooks on IngramSpark, most of the time on IngramSpark, their time when they push out metadata changes, including price changes, are Thursday evening. So if you don't hit that right timing, then you may not update in time. And I don't really like that. So for me, I like Draft to Digital for the ease of use and the tools that are provided. A lot of people use IngramSpark as well, and that's just fine. You can do that as long as your book is not in the Kindle Select program, which makes it exclusive for Kindle Unlimited. So you can absolutely use it. It's just up to you, but that's kind of my thought process and why I tend to recommend Draft to Digital over IngramSpark. Oh yeah. If Amazon author pages must be claimed and managed by the author, what happens when the person dies? So part of this, I will say, is a question for a lawyer. I can only give you general information of what I know, but for specific questions, you'd need to go to Amazon and a lawyer. But generally, yes, a author page can only be claimed by the author. So I cannot claim, or your publisher, let's say your publisher cannot claim your author page. It is the author's page, and they're the one who gets to claim it. So if you have your author page and the author dies, I am not a lawyer. I am guessing, I am just going off of things I've heard, that page can sometimes be grandfathered is not the word, but it kind of, that page goes with the author's will. So wherever the books go, the author page may go, and different things like that. Now, this is always dependent on Amazon's terms, which may change. It really does go down ultimately to a legal question. So I think that's something that in planning for your will, or planning for what will happen to your books and your royalties after you pass on, then that's something that you would want to work into that as well and have it all be taken care of. I think it's one of those things, and I've actually personally seen this. We don't think about what happens to my books, my royalties, my publishing business after I pass on. And I've seen this with small press where the publisher didn't have a plan in place. I've seen this with authors who just passed on and it was not taken care of. And so these are the things really that do need to be considered when really working out your will, having that information, who your book royalties and your book rights go to. Even though we're not all, I don't know, like we're not all super famous Clive Cussler or something like that, we still need to figure these things out. Yeah, what happens to all my digital accounts? Canva, IngramSpark. So if your digital account, again, I'm not a lawyer, can't give you legal advice, but from my understanding, things like Canva, things that are paid subscriptions, they would just run out. And then it would just kind of go into nowhere land. But for things that are earning a royalty, that have rights associated with them. So if you have like your IngramSpark, where does that go? Who gets the royalties? Who gets access? That's the kind of thing, believe it or not, that's the thing that your grandchildren might end up fighting over. So go ahead and just plan it out now. It's kind of crazy to me, but I've actually seen it happen. So those are the things to consider. It's not just who's going to take your kids and what happens to your house and are you is so-and-so taken care of. It's also, you got to put your books in there because your books are like your book baby. So those are things to think about. On the topic of Amazon Author Central profiles, Walt messaged me the other day saying that, hey, did you know that the Amazon author profiles have changed? And yes, they sure have. When you're putting a bio in, I in the past have recommended that when you are putting your bio on Author Central, that you say things like, hey, have your bio and then say, for more information and to connect with Keri directly, go to newshelves.com. Guess what? Amazon doesn't let you do anymore. They will not let you say .com. They will not let you lead directly to a website. They will not let you use any special characters, and that includes parentheses. So you can't do new shelves parentheses.com. They don't let you do that. They will not let you do direct anything to your social media. I can say follow Keri Barnum at New Shelves with like the @ symbol, I believe, or can be found on Facebook and YouTube at New Shelves Books. So there are some things you can do, but they are taking away the ability to put .com or different things like that. Now, Walt was playing with this and I was playing with this, and we tried to make it look nice, each of us on our own, and it didn't always look fantastic trying to get around that. So I actually did, it would be like New Shelves with a space and then with a space com. That got through their process, but it does look a little wonky. I will say at least you can read, like straight out, you can read that it's newshelves.com, even if there are some spaces in there, which looks wonky. But who knows? This is brand new as far as I know. If your profile already had something like follow me at newshelves.com, that is being grandfathered in. So if you don't touch it, it will stay. But if you update your profile, that is when they're getting you. So just be aware of that. If you go in to edit your author bio, Yeah, so if you go in to update your author bio, they are going to make you update that. So if you don't need to update your author bio, probably just leave it alone for now. And yeah, Liza's saying you could do new, like separate words, newshelves.com. And you can, I mean, there's different ways to do it. I could even do newshelvestogether.com, but yeah, I mean, I guess once it becomes a standard and people are used to seeing author bios like that, maybe it'll work. Maybe Amazon's trying something new and they'll change it. Who knows? But it does, yeah. And Kevin's saying, AI will soon catch all that. They already are catching quite a bit of it. So just kind of interesting how they are trying to keep traffic on their website. And we'll see if it sticks, if it changes again. Amazon, I actually had talked to someone who worked on the executive level in Amazon, and they said, if we are not coming to work with ways to change things, then we are not doing our jobs. So Amazon really likes to keep innovating and changing things. We'll see how it goes, but I just thought it was interesting since you had brought up that question, Cheryl. Yes, and Walt was saying he had to use YT instead of YouTube. They didn't want them to actually say YouTube because guess what? Amazon doesn't own YouTube, so they didn't like that. I bet if you put in the words Goodreads, it would be fine, but that's just my speculation. All right, Beth, is it correct that when you post a Facebook reel, it will be shown to people beyond your followers, in contrast to other types of posts that don't go beyond followers unless you pay for an ad? Does your answer apply to both posting reels at our personal Facebook page and a business author website? Okay, so let's talk about reels. When we do reels on Facebook, you typically will reach further than just your page. So when doing a reel, which is like a video, when you're doing a video that's, I think it has to be within 60 seconds, might be 30 seconds. But when doing a reel on Facebook, yes, you can often reach beyond your followers. Now, depending on your privacy settings, thank you, Walt, 60 seconds. Depending on your privacy settings, this can be for your personal Facebook and for your business or author page. So for your business and author page, it's just all public. So if you do that, you will likely reach people outside of your followers, which is why Reels can really grow your author page and your audience because they're being shown beyond. Now, some of those, they'll only go so far. Those are very algorithm based. So if no one's really paying attention, they're not clicking, they're not commenting, it won't go as far. But if you get people clicking and commenting and watching that reel, Facebook will continue showing it to people and they will continue and continue and it can go crazy. Now, this can also be on your personal page. So just a quick kind of example story here is my sister-in-law had posted a picture or a reel of one of her sons learning how to walk. He was taking his first like real steps, and she had posted it as a reel on her Facebook. Well, apparently she did not put her privacy settings while her actual post, her normal post, her normal page was friends only. She had not set her reels to go to friends only. And this thing blew up. We are talking hundreds of comments, hundreds of thousands of views because everyone liked to watch this little boy learn how to walk. And so it blew up like crazy. And my sister-in-law, meanwhile, is going, how did all of these people even see this? How did they find it? It's because reels go by algorithms. And so what happened is some people saw it, they start commenting on it, and then it started getting that algorithm and showing to more and more people. And because she did not realize she had to set that video to private or to friends only to not be shown to the world, it really took off. Yeah, add an affiliate link. She actually said that little taste of it made her know that she would never want to be an online influencer because she did not like everyone having an opinion on everything about her and her family. Which it was true. It was kind of funny, some of the comments on there. But anyway, that's how reels work. So personal page or public business page, yes, they can get more traction. And so it's good to know that, yes, personal page, business page. However, it also is a great example of why using reels and videos on your business pages can be such a smart idea. It's more work, I will not lie. Being able to schedule out a picture or a post quickly, it's convenient. Reels take more time. However, if you get consistent with it or if you batch them, they really can make a huge difference in how far your your content goes, especially if it's popular with the crowd on Facebook. So I think that's really important to know. Great question there. And speaking of Beth, you had another question I wanted to grab right over here. Okay, so you had a question about book clubs. Here we go. All right. What's the best way to approach a bookstore to let them know about your book and that you, the author, are available to meet with book clubs in person for a discussion and Q&A if they're nearby or remotely via Zoom? Is sending an inquiry via email best, or is there another better way to approach bookstores? Same question for libraries. So that is a really great question. And I think it's important to realize that it comes in two parts. One is approaching bookstores and libraries, just seeing if they're interested in working with you and your book. And the other is kind of letting them know you're available for book clubs. A couple of things that will make you more appealing, first of all, both as an author and with book clubs. Let's go with just as an author. What makes your book more appealing to a bookstore or a library? Number one, you need to know your book, title, your ISBN, how much your book costs. You need to know where your book is available. You need to be able to go in there and say with confidence, hi, my name's Keri. My book is titled, I Need More Coffee. It is for all the tired moms in the world. Absolutely perfect for your store. It's available from Ingram at a full trade discount and it's returnable. I would love to work with you. Having that information. Why is it so important? Because number one, you've told them that you're a pro, you're going to be easy to work with because you know what they need. They need the details like the title and your name and the ISBN in order to look up your book. They need to know where the book's available and if it's available, where they order. Retail stores order from Ingram. They need to know immediately if it's available from Ingram. Libraries, they need to know, is it available at Ingram, Baker and Taylor? Is it at Overdrive? Do you have ebook and audiobook? They need to know these things. And then also letting them know, especially for retail stores, they need to know, do you have a trade discount? And I know we've been over this, a trade discount is 40%. That means that the bookstore would get a 40% discount when ordering your book from Ingram. That means that if you're setting your book up on IngramSpark, you are setting your book up at a 55% discount because you set your book at a 55% discount on IngramSpark. Ingram Wholesale keeps 15%, and then 40% goes on to the bookstore or the retailer. So you need to know if your book is at what discount. If it's not at a full trade discount, what kind of discount is it at? Then you need to know and willing to share whether or not your book is returnable. So sorry, I feel a sneeze coming on. So if I randomly hide my face, that's why. Sorry. So, and then returnable, we need to know, because is your book returnable? Bookstores don't want to return your books. If they return your book, they don't make money on your book. However, it's an insurance policy for them. It is a way that helps them know that, hey, if your book doesn't sell, that they can return it. Some bookstores will take a book that's non-returnable. However, if they do that, they're going to require either pre-orders in advance or they're going to take very limited copies. Many bookstores will not take a book that is not returnable simply because they want to protect themselves. They need that insurance policy. So it's important to know these things and be able to communicate that well, because that is going to be one of the things that really tells that store or even that library that you're going to be easy to work with, you know what you're doing. And that's important. They want authors that know what they're doing. They don't want to have to try to train every author on how to work with them. So the best way, in my opinion, to get all of this information in one spot is to create what we call a one sheet. And a one sheet, as it sounds, is one sheet about your book. It should have all of the pertinent details I just told you about. Now, one sheet, you can do them on your own. I make tons of them in Canva. I will say that if you go to the New Shelves website and you go to our store, we have a template. It is $3.99, but we have a Canva template that has these things in here, and you can just drop your information in. You can update the colors. So for really what I believe is a reasonable price, you can have that template to make your own one sheets, and you can use it as many times as you want. I did drop that in the chat here for anyone watching on Facebook or a replay. Just newshelves.com. Go to the store. I have one that's kind of like basic for fiction or nonfiction. I have a children's one and they're $3.99, but you can also just go look at them, get an idea of what you're doing. And if you are a creative designer type, go into Canva and just make your own. That's perfectly okay too. So both of those options are good. Now for book clubs specifically, aside from talking about, hey, this is how we work with bookstores and we need to be a pro at that. Bookstores specifically and book clubs, it is very helpful if you are prepared to be a part of a book club. And what I mean by that is, do you have book club discussions ready to go, like actual questions ready to go? Knowing whether or not you're available. Are you available for Zooms anytime? Or, you know, are you not doing Zooms? You're only doing in person. If you're doing in person, how far are you willing to go? Which stores are you going to pitch? But having book club discussions and having them available, whether or not someone has you physically come or Zoom in on, that is so very important. So I think it's really important that you have those book club discussion questions, and I recommend that you have typically around 10 of them. I personally like to see them up on your website, on your book page, have it as a download, have it very accessible. And you don't have to necessarily send those when you're pitching a store for a book club, but when you send your one sheet, you could put right on your one sheet, downloadable book club questions available. You can put right on your one sheet, available for book clubs with downloadable book club questions. So again, making it so accessible. And yes, Cheryl is sharing in the chat here that on her website, she has a whole book club resource section. And you guys, it is awesome. She did such a good job with this. Such a good job that I'm going to share my screen and brag on her. Hang on. All right, let's see. All right, so this is Cheryl's book club discussion page, and you will notice it is a direct page just for book clubs. And I just adore that it's got, you know, things right in here. Is it for you? Having questions, having a contact information right there is helpful. And then, you know, get the book club guide. Drop in your email, get the book club guide. It's a very, very accessible. It's got information about how to work with Cheryl or invite the author. So I think this is just fantastic because it's got everything in one spot. It's very easy to use. It's easy to share. So I adore this. And I think every author, whether or not you have a full website or you have the bandwidth to create a specific page for it, I think that having book club discussions questions ready that you can just give out at the drop of the hat is very helpful. And also, while we're over here, I'll just show you, this is one of our templates for the one sheet. So you can see it's got all the pertinent information over here. It's got spots for it. So that's a good resources for you as well. And then finally, oh, this is book club basics. That. If you go to the New Shelves channel, a little bit off of book clubs, but you had asked about libraries. So back to the New Shelves channel, which I promise is a good resource. If you come down over here to popular videos, you see. All right, popular videos. First off, there's like very popular videos for A+ content and all sorts of good things. And these are like how-tos. But if you come over here, the library market for authors and publishers, I have put up an entire training for free. This is a training that I am flown all over the world to give. Now it is, I think I did this one in 2021. So it's not the very most up to date, but it is a absolutely free training on how to pitch yourself to libraries, what you need to know about libraries, and just free information. So if you're interested in how to work with the library market and system, I highly recommend you hop on over here, grab a snack, whatever it is you do, and listen to this, because it is all the basic information you need to know about how to pitch your book to libraries. And I will, for anyone who wants it, you can just go to the YouTube channel, but I will also drop the link so that it's in there. All right. There we go. So yes, book clubs, be prepared, know how to pitch yourself, and then just ask. I think asking is the best way. I will say there's a lot of things online, like there are some online things that are like book club online and different things like that. And I've had some people work with those or list their book with those, and haven't had anyone say, man, I definitely saw success from that. Some people have said they think it might have helped, but they weren't really sure. But if you have the time, if you've got the ability to just look up book clubs and pitch yourself, that's going to be the best. And book clubs often are associated with libraries or with bookstores. So if you're already looking up bookstores and libraries and pitching them, finding book clubs that are attached to that can be really easy as well. And then when you have a book club, when you do it, take pictures, take video, post it on social media, let people know this is something you do. Encourage your followers in your email list or on social media. Encourage them that you love book clubs and you would love to come to their book club. So you kind of sometimes have to plant the seed and let people know that you're interested in doing it for them to go, oh, I should invite Beth into my book club. I think that's often the case with books, is that sometimes we think, well, of course they just asked me if they wanted me, but they don't think about it. I actually just ran into this locally, the local high school. I happened to be talking to someone, and I think there are people around the school that know kind of what I do, but not really. And they know some of the authors I work with and things like that. But just had someone at the school go, would you ever come in and talk to people about publishing and what it means? And I was like, absolutely, this is what I do. I do training. But it had just like, they knew what I did. They knew that their students learn about writing, and they have like this section that's talking about like actually writing a book and different things like that. But they'd never been like, oh, maybe we could collaborate. So sometimes you just have to plant that seed or put that connection together so that the light bulb goes off. I really think, like, I walk around life and I think light bulbs just sprout out of my head randomly when my bright ideas come up. And then my bright ideas usually are nonsense, but I have them. So that's what's important. Let's see. Oh, good. I'm so glad it's helpful. Let's see what other questions have been coming in. Let's see. I discovered through WorldCat, which is an online library cataloging database, that my novel ebook is available in several libraries and some colleges. How can I find out how they acquired and paid for the book? I listed it on Kobo, but can't find any compensation reports for the library rentals. So you can't, most places cannot give you actual information of where it was ordered. Like, we don't have access to that. So if it's listed as an ebook, it would be coming from one of your ebook distributors. Now, it's really important to realize that just because your ebook is listed as available in the catalog does not mean that anyone has rented it out. So sometimes I do get authors confused by that. If your print book is listed in a library catalog, they have physically ordered that book and it's sitting on the shelf. You should be paid for that. Typically, that's going to be an order through Ingram or Baker and Taylor. About a third of libraries do order from Amazon though, but we have no way of knowing like where they bought. We know that they bought the book if it's a print copy and that it's somewhere, but we don't actually know, like there's nowhere that has people tell us who they are or where they're putting the book. So, but for ebook or audiobook assets, really important to realize that just because they put you in the catalog, that means that your book is available to check out, but that doesn't mean anyone has actually checked it out. And you only get paid most times, especially if you're using draft to digital or a cost per checkout model that's very popular on draft to digital, Findaway Voices. You're getting paid per checkout. So your book may be listed, but you may not actually have had any checkouts in, so you wouldn't be paid for those. So that's important to know. Or your book could be listed because someone checked it out 2 years ago, but not since. So again, it's a little hard to track. The system does go off of honesty between the reporting and the aggregators and the payments and things like that. Which is why we like to work with trustworthy companies, but it can be hard to track. It's a lot of guesstimation, to be honest, from the author or publisher side. I wish it was more concrete, but it's simply not. What's the best and safest way to give away an ebook? PDF with a watermark, buy one on Amazon and send as a gift, book funnel. So if you're doing a single copy of your book and you're giving it away, I would say that gifting it through Amazon can be one of the easiest ways to ensure that it's going to that one person, it's being downloaded by them. So gifting a single copy through Amazon is probably the easiest way for a single copy. If you are giving away multiple copies of your ebook, or even you're selling them direct, I would highly recommend that you do book funnel. Now for book funnel, for book funnel, you can do just a PDF, which gets watermarked by book funnel. It also has tracking, so they can see who signed up for it, who downloaded it, and things like that. You can require an email address, which has some accountability because at least you know who downloaded it. Book funnel often will also encourage you, and I encourage you, to provide an ebook file, which can also be downloaded. Can it be pirated? Let's just be honest. Can it be pirated? Yeah, it can be. Now, copyright should protect you, but we all know that the thing with copyright is that unless you're tracking it, unless you're willing to sue or cease and desist and or put out a cease and desist, copyright protects you, but not unless you actually do something with it. So that's important to know. But I can get that from my Amazon copy as well. I can get it from most places. If I am a hacker, if I'm really intent on stealing your book, anyone who works in that sphere who has knowledge there can get it, whether they buy a single copy from Amazon. Guys, there are scams out there where people will buy your print book. They will buy your physical book, and then they will take copies or pictures of every single page and they'll scan it in, and then they'll try to reprint your book if it's selling really well. They will take copies of your book, or they will scan it and have AI try to convert it, and it'll be all wrong. They don't care. They're scammers. So if people really, really want to scam your book, they're going to do it. That's not to say you shouldn't put things in place that protect yourself or that you shouldn't be smart, but it is to say, do what you can, make smart choices, use companies that are, have good reputations and are safe, like Book Funnel. But ultimately, put a Google search on your name and the title, and if something does pop up, write a cease and desist letter. It doesn't happen as often as we might think or hear that it does. We hear these horror stories and they're out there, but those kind of are more fewer and far between than you might think, which I think is important to kind of realize. Let's see. Thank you, Sheldon. You're on my list to email today. I've got all the rest of the afternoon to email, so I will get back to you. Let's see. Yes, questions about sales trends. So we have talked about through 2023. Got to get my year right. We have talked about through 2023 about how sales have been down from 2022 and previous years. We've been coming off of that that pandemic high where everyone was reading. Now, our numbers have still been much higher or higher than pre-pandemic since 2019. We are still ahead of that, but numbers have been down, except for there was, I believe, a 5-week run around Easter where our numbers this year were higher than 2022. And we have run into that again here in October. So for the last 3 weeks, reported sales numbers for books from Circana, who is where, who catalogs kind of book sales within the US, sales numbers have been up for the past 3 weeks, which really bodes well. It seems like we're going to have a great holiday book sales season. So we have talked about in the past where for book sales in particular, 40% of book sales happen in November, December, and the beginning of January. So just under half of all the book sales in the entire year happen around the holiday season. And as we go into October, we've got really high numbers showing, and that really bodes well for book sales. So if you have been thinking about whether or not it's worth it to work on your ad campaign or your marketing campaigns for the holiday season, and you have a book that's giftable, that's important. You have to either have a holiday book or something that's very giftable, something like a cookbook or a book that, might be coffee table, or if you have children's or young adult books, and those are, again, giftable items, then it can still be a great idea to be working on your ad campaign. If, however, you have a book that is more self-help, introspective, something people would buy for themselves, I will say those typically don't sell as well throughout the holiday season, but they do fantastic in January. So plan ahead now. And it's just good to see those numbers kind of coming back up, to see that good stuff happening. Other news in the industry, last week we talked about how Scholastic had created a add-on book box that had diverse titles in it. And the idea is that they were not going to put some diverse titles into their book boxes because of book bannings and things like that. So they were trying to keep it separate. Now all of their press releases and everything came out saying they were not trying to avoid putting diverse books out there, but rather giving schools the option, and teachers and those scheduling these book fairs, they wanted to give them the option of not having certain books that might get them in trouble. So while their hearts may have been in the right place, they received a ton of backlash. Librarians, some cases, were very upset. There were just a lot of pushback that they would separate out diverse books and make them optional rather than taking a stand and keeping those books in their book fairs. And so what has happened is they have withdrawn that program. They have decided that they are not going to do that. They have issued a notice that they will be changing that as of January. They will put those books, the diverse books that mostly feature books from about or from people of color, books for the LGBTQ plus community. There are some others, but really they're banned books. A lot of them, they're banned books or books that have been getting a lot of press for, not conforming, I guess, or being diverse and inclusive. And so they have decided that starting in January, that will no longer be the case. They're going to put the books back in there, and they will have to figure out some other way to work with the schools and libraries that are struggling with wanting to provide, diverse books, but also having the problem of certain laws and things that are preventing them from that. So that happened very quickly. It came out, they got some backlash, and they are making changes pretty quickly. Always interesting. Let's see, how about self-help books with a holiday theme? For example, Christmas planning or budgeting strategies. Those can be good. Sorry, I know if I don't drink something, I'm just going to keep coughing. All right, so budgeting books, Christmas planning, those can be fantastic. Just keep in mind that most people, if they're buying them, they're going to be buying them now until around December 1st. Those books typically are not going to be bought in December. That's when everyone goes, la, la, la. So people who are trying to be mindful are going to be planning now through the end of Black Friday and about December 1st. So if you've got that kind of book, putting those out now is a really smart idea, but once we get into December, they're probably not going to sell quite as much. So that's just one of those things to think about. And again, budgeting strategies, it would have to be very specific to Christmas. If you have like a get out of debt book, people don't, I knew this was going to happen because I'm trying so hard not trying so hard not to cough. I'm going to keep coughing. Sorry, everybody. All right. So, yeah. So what's happening is if they're budgeting books and it's just like how to get out of debt or something like that, no one wants to think about that around the holidays. They're going to stick their head in the sand and try to ignore it as much as possible until after Christmas when they're like, man, I got to get my act together. So if it's specific to budgeting for Christmas, it can be helpful. But getting out of debt around, I'd actually had someone say, but it would be so helpful. And I say, I bet it would. But you know what no one wants to think about? They don't want to think about their debt at Christmas time. They want everything to be Santas and rainbows and, you know, all the good things. So people might be thinking about it now, not about getting out of debt, but about being smart and budgeting. I can say my husband and I just bought our kids their big Christmas present. We just bought it last night. So we are planning ahead, but we also budget. We kind of say, okay, this is what we're doing. So now's a really great time for that, but not for getting out of debt. It's just not, it's not as effective. No, I'm not going to tell you what we got them because my daughter has discovered Google and YouTube and likes to visit my videos sometimes. Yeah. All right. I think we got through all the questions. Yes, Chris, your Snickers fairy candy bar battle. Chris writes historical fiction, and I gave him a very hard time. He likes to tell me about all the historical battles, and one was the Battle of Snickers Ferry. And I said, well, you obviously need a Snickers and to take a picture while writing that battle. And he did. He sent me a picture of him writing the Snickers Ferry battle with a Snickers, which of course immediately had to go up on Facebook as a funny social media post. Speaking of social media, you guys, I have been trying. I often get questions about if I can retweet or support people as they launch their books, as they're doing different things. And so I've been making a concerted effort to, if you tag New Shelves, it's just at New Shelves Books on Instagram. New Shelves Books at New Shelves Books on Instagram. Number one, go follow us. But number two, if you're doing something super awesome with your book, or if you are launching your book, tag us in a post. I've been really trying to share those in our stories. So if you've got something cool going on or something that pertains to book marketing, publishing that you think that would be helpful for you, if we shared, tag us. I'm going through and I'm kind of, again, being more thoughtful of our stories, and we would love to support you. You guys support us, which we love. So if you've got great things happening over on Instagram, tag us, let us know, and we'd love to support you where we're able to. All right, it is right at 11 a.m. So I think we're going to end on that note. Thank you for being here and spending your morning with me. I always appreciate all of you. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, answering your questions. Email them in if you want to. It's info@newshelves.com. And of course, you can bring those live right here at newshelves.com/FAF. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.